Wow. Why would a luxury home builder building $30, $40, $50 million homes on the West Coast, some over $300 million, leave that industry to do this one? And how's it going for him? Did he come out of the gate firing? Did he bring a team? Did he bring an entourage? Today's episode, we have an exciting guest who's joining us to talk about that transition, how he got started, and how he and his young family are forging their way forward in this business now instead of the home building business. What a special episode we got coming up. Hang on to your seats, strap them in, buckle up. Like Chris says, get your milk and cookies and stay tuned for this exciting episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. We've got a special guest in-house today, all the way from Franklin, Tennessee. New agent, only been in the business 5 to 6 months, and was excited to have this individual on. He's doing some cool things, comes from non-insurance background completely, found us on the podcast. He's now getting traction. He drove to Louisville to spend some time with us. We did a coaching session, a strategy session, and now we're sitting down for an interview. I'm excited to welcome new agent and significant producer. Welcome to the podcast, Chase Alexander. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So Chase, for new people that are watching, new people that are listening, why don't we take 2 minutes and just do a quick little bio of your background and how you ended up even in the insurance space?
So I'm 35 years young. I have 2 awesome little kiddos, and I have 2 sons, Pax and Rhett, and my lovely wife, Tasha. They actually came out here with me to do this. So
we got to meet them.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. And, I've been in the construction industry for almost a decade. Yeah. And heavy civil, high-end residential, kind of got into a company where I had 2 partners, and things change over time. And I decided, there's got to be something different that I really love. And, I think in order to be exceptional at something, you need to really have a heart and a passion for it. Yeah. And that's what my goal in my life is. So, of all people, my brother-in-law was working on getting his license, and I saw that and I was like, man, that actually sounds pretty interesting. And I started looking into it and started poking around, asking people about insurance and if I could talk with people in the industry. And it's actually a friend of mine, Nick, I was asking him, he is a partner at a consulting firm, and I said, hey, do you know anyone that I can talk to? And he said, let me ask my partners. And so he passed on. They said, there's this podcast called the LIA, Life Insurance Academy. And so I wrote it down, and, it took me probably 2 weeks to get into it and to actually start listening. But when I did, I just kind of started gobbling it up, and I started listening and listening and
That's
listening.
That's cool, man.
And just consuming the information. Yeah. And I probably did that for 6 months. And, I was deciding, do I want to do this? Do I have a passion for it? And
Who did you like the best? Who did you like the best?
I don't know. I gotta throw it maybe to Chris. I'm just teasing you, but
that's okay. I got big shoulders. Yeah, I got big shoulders. Chris has a way.
You got Chris.
He's very
I got to
endearing.
give a shout out to all those guys.
He's very endearing, Chris. Yeah.
But I got my license, and then I just reached out and got connected, and the rest is kind of history. And it's been quite a ride.
So you got connected to who did you resonate with? I guess you saw someone on the podcast.
So I saw yourself, right? I saw Chris, and all the hosts, all the guests, right?
Yeah.
And I just decided that I was going to get involved,
And you got connected to Jonathan Henderson.
I got connected to Jonathan Henderson with Ep234, and
who is on the podcast.
He's been on the podcast.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And he's a great dude. Super. I can't even say how blessed I am to have been kind of almost fallen into where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And our team is exceptional. I think, to be honest, we'll be doing huge things here very shortly. We already are kind of doing some big stuff. So
cool.
Yeah.
Now Jonathan's in Greenville, South Carolina,
He's in Greenville.
and you're in Franklin.
Yep.
So you don't actually work physically in the same location.
No, not at all.
What sales? You're in telesales?
So yep, I'm in telesales. So I do mostly final expense, and really focus on helping, kind of that like mid-age to, the elderly, put something in place that really is beneficial and protects them.
Yeah.
And not just them, but the people that are the most important to them.
And how's it been going for you? You got started last November, was it?
Yeah, it was about last November
when you got rolling. Were you actually writing business before the end of the year, or trying to write business?
I think I was trying to write business, and I think it may have been early December before I actually wrote a policy. But it's not.
So 6 full months under your belt right now.
Yeah, 6 full months.
So and you just started out, and it's like a rocket ship right out of the gate.
I don't know about rocket ship, but we tried. We got lift off. So there's a lot to what we do.
Yeah,
it's people say it can be simple, but not things that are simple aren't kind of always just come to you naturally or easily.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little nuances, and that's really what kind of makes it fun. And it's kind of, I think, what people call like a soft skill, right? It's conversational skill.
Yeah.
And be able to really, get into people's emotions. And that's one of the things that I kind of learned in our strategy session is, maybe one of the things I need to work on is really digging into, the emotions.
Yeah. Why did you get in the insurance business? What's the goal here? You just wanted to go from building high-end homes to selling insurance over the phone? I mean, what's the goal here?
It sounds crazy when you put it that way. But I think that I really love the aspect of helping people.
Yeah.
And you can help people in this industry is it's amazing. There's a million different ways you can take it. There's a million different ways to help people within it.
Sure.
And with specific life insurance products, but then you can also help people outside experience what we do here, right?
Yeah.
And I think what is super intriguing and draws me in is that the fact that you can really change people's lives. You can help people. And when somebody calls you when their mother passed away and they had something set up with you, it changes you and how you look at it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the business offers for new people? I mean, you were coming from a entrepreneurial mindset. I think most of your family you're the middle of 3 children, right?
I am, yep.
And kind of both sides, brother and sister, they're kind of doing their own things.
They're doing their own things,
yeah. So this idea of entrepreneurism wasn't foreign in your family.
Nope, not foreign at all. Pretty much everyone is a go-getter. And, it's I don't think entrepreneurship is for everybody, right? But if it is in your soul, or it is part of you, like, you need to do that. And I think being out on myself, being responsible for myself, setting up your own business and directing your own business, if you don't float, you sink, and that's because of you, right?
That's scary for a lot of people.
It is scary, but I think it makes it more fun, right? And then having something with higher risk has higher reward.
Was it scary for you and your wife in those first few months?
100%.
Why?
Because, you have to take risks. We moved all the way across the country. We were in Nevada.
Okay.
And we said, where do we want to raise our boys, and where do we want to live our life and grow a business? And, we'd usually do 15 to 18 days on go out somewhere to a state and multiple different cities, check it out. And we went a lot of places I wanted to go, like Montana and Oregon. And
you're
all
an
these
outdoors
places.
person, right?
I'm an outdoors person.
You like to hunt, fish, and all that stuff?
I do. That's me right there.
Yeah.
And my wife said, why don't we go check out, Nashville? And so we did, and it was just like not love at first sight, but we knew before we left that we were coming back. So
Nashville proper?
In Nashville, we love Nashville. We love the industry and how the city's growing, and it's clean, it's beautiful, it's good people. But then specifically, where we live now down in Franklin.
Franklin, which is how far?
20 minutes south.
20 minutes south of Nashville.
Yep.
And there's a lot of nice homes in Nashville. So if you ever decide that this doesn't work, you could probably get back into a house building situation.
Yeah, not going to happen.
So tell me about why. I was just teasing you to see what you'd say there. Tell me about those first couple of months. You immediately started turning a profit? Everything was good? Your wife felt great? I want to hear about new agents want to know how it went, man, because you sound like you came from an entrepreneurial family, cool, calm, and collected. You're in a building industry, and you come over here and you automatically start having success. Lots of times new people can't relate to that. So how were those first 90 days? How did it feel? What was happening? Cash flow, success? Talk about that, because this was an entirely new venture for you.
Absolutely. And
even though you were plugging into the Life Insurance Academy and you maybe had access to scripts and a team with E320, still challenges, right?
Absolutely.
What were the challenges?
You could have the best team in the world. You could apply yourself, and there's still going to be a learning curve, right? The first couple months, was not easy, right? You have to get into it. You have to speak, and you have to constantly be talking to people. You have to constantly be building on your skills, and then hopefully not be building on bad skills, right? And that's really what's great about, getting into some of these different trainings that, you guys put on, is it helps not build on the bad, right? We don't want to share our bad. And so the first couple months, the cash flow, I was selling, it wasn't amazing. And you get chargebacks, right? The infinite.
Did you know what that was?
I think everyone kind of knows what it is, but when you really start understanding what it is when you get emails and then you start seeing it in your bank account, then you really understand what's going on here.
You don't really understand it until you feel it.
Yeah, exactly. When you start feeling it, then it becomes very, very real.
So tell me what was going on. Were you cash flow positive or were you negative?
So
what did that look like? Did it take you? How long did it take you to get positive?
I was cash flow breaking even, maybe negative. Actually negative probably at some points. For
how long?
It was probably a couple months.
Yeah.
And
your wife works. She had you covered.
She does not work, and she's always got me covered because she's an amazing person. But no, she stays at home and she takes care of the boys, right? Yeah. So it's it's up to me.
It's all on you.
It's all on me. Yeah.
So how did that feel? If you were cash flow negative, did you think about quitting?
There's a lot of thoughts that come into your head, right? And man, you got to really take control of your nerves. And one of the best ways of doing that is, getting in touch with people that you trust, tracking, constantly asking questions, not, allowing yourself to get off into the corner by yourself and kind of isolate. Yeah, isolation is a killer, right? We want to stay away from that. So yeah, being involved with people, and that's one great thing that Jonathan does with our E320 team is every Sunday we have a call. Everyone gets involved. Everyone gets to see each other's faces, right? It's a great experience. So
talk about, I'm trying to pull out of you what those first 90 days were like, because new agents are experiencing this. What were you experiencing? Were you writing business? It was getting approved. You weren't getting paid. Were you writing business? Were you cash flowing right away? And you thought, this is great. This is going to be fantastic. Were you tinkering? Were you trying different leads? Let's talk about some of those things, because agents want to know this stuff. This is the stuff that they listen to this podcast for, man. And they want to know from someone like you 6 6 months in. How do you get through that first 6 months and come out on the other? Well, let's stop. For all intents and purposes, I want to pause here and say this is July, you're about to have your best month ever, right? Since you started.
Yep.
How much will you deposit this month?
I should deposit about $15,000 this month into my account.
15 grand this month. So you're pacing right now at 180,000 if you just maintain this pace.
That's right.
And after today's strategy session that we did with you, just an hour and a half, do you think that's going to go up or down now based on what we covered today?
I don't think I know it's going to go up because I didn't even see the problem that I was having. And when you hear it from somebody else and you hear it from a group of people, it opens your eyes, right? I would have never have thought that, I would be missing so many pieces in a presentation or in an interaction with somebody.
Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use discount code LIA at checkout at liapodcast.org/Excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-license training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career. So you're now on an upward curve, okay? Yeah. So now you're getting to a good place where you're starting to feel some wind, right? You're starting to feel like there's some wind in your back, there's some support. Your wife's probably breathing a little lighter, not heavier.
I hope so.
Right? So that first 90 days, though, wasn't like that.
Yes, it was not.
It was not. Let's talk about the first 90 days so that new agents can know what you went through. I want them to know the struggles you went through and what you did to not quit.
Yeah. So I, bought leads.
Yeah.
Bought quite a few leads and was having appointments set. I was running on average.
When you say you were having appointments set, you were setting them? Someone else was setting them?
I was setting them, and then I have a system that allows people to, through text message, set an appointment on my calendar.
Some automations, right?
Exactly.
You use a Go High Level platform.
Yep,
and
exactly.
And there were some automations built in
exactly.
there. Okay, so you were setting appointments. You were not calling to do one call close. You were trying to set appointments to do the sale?
So yeah, always aiming for the one call close.
Okay.
But if people need to schedule, you put them on the schedule, right?
All right.
Initially, I was averaging the first couple months, I think like 48 appointments a week.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And so I was getting in front of a lot of people and really working on just the verbal communication. And I think that's, for a new agent, just go through the paces, go all the way through, even if you have someone that you think you could maybe write quickly, take them through the whole thing. Take them through the whole experience. It's good for you. And it's like every person you talk to, you can learn from.
So you were writing a lot of apps. 43 appointments a week?
Is it
43 you said? 43?
I was probably writing, because you're not going to have everyone show up, right? And then of the people that show up, then you have to figure out, how many of those are you actually writing?
Yeah.
And I was probably writing like, I don't know, 5 to 10 apps or something like that. Yeah, probably not that good of numbers.
5 to 10 is a big range.
Yeah.
Because 10 is, that's twice as much as 5.
So my first couple weeks, I was writing like 5,000, 7,000.
Out of 43 appointments, out of 40 plus appointments on the schedule.
Yeah, AP. And so I was getting a lot of repetition, and it was I think that was really good learning for me, but it wasn't easy, right? I mean, I was in the ditch grinding, and this isn't like a 6-hour a day gig, right? I was doing a lot of work for a lot of hours trying to, learn a new industry. Just because you're successful in one industry does not mean that you can jump and be immediately successful into another, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I learned very quickly. And so I've just been learning.
So you were investing quite heavily in leads, and you were selling 5,000, and some of that was falling off.
100%.
Yeah, not 100% falling off.
No, not 100%, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, you were in agreement that someone's falling off. Okay,
yes.
So someone's falling off. Were you cash flowing enough to make money, live, and make a profit?
So for
or
a while,
were you backwards?
I was going backwards for a period of time where I was actually working kind of for free and having to supplement it with my own savings to make it work. And, since then have found another pathway to, make it profitable. And I think it's just part of the learning curve.
Yeah. So to summarize there, you didn't get the greatest start.
I think that's a great summary. I think that's a good summary. Yeah.
You didn't get the greatest start.
It was rocky and it was tough.
If everybody who's investigating insurance and you listen to this podcast and you said for the first 90 days you're going to lose money, would you have jumped in?
No, I don't think so.
No. So the reason why I'm getting people to, why I'm excited about this episode is because Chase got in, he was losing money, he was optimistic, transitioning in, he made a commitment. You went full time. You weren't moving into this part. You were full time and you were grinding. How many hours a day were you putting in those first 90 days?
Like 12 at least.
12 hours a day.
Yeah.
How many days a week? 4?
I wish like 6, if not 6. Like every day.
6.
Yeah.
So at least 6 days a week.
Yes.
12 hours a day.
100%.
That's almost 2 full-time jobs.
Yes, sir.
In the career, and you were losing money.
Correct.
Why did you keep going?
It's
you're not a quitter?
I'm not a quitter. And I know people do this. Mm-hmm. Right? There are people that do this that are successful. At a
very high level.
At a very high level, and there's a product that people need, and it's just getting yourself to a place where you can share that with them in a way that makes sense, and they see value in it.
Mm-hmm. I think I was at Kroger picking up some food, and I was talking to Jonathan Henderson, and he was telling me about you, and I think you had your first significant week, and this was probably 90, 120 days in. I don't know when it was. Mm-hmm. And I believe you either broke like 7,000 or 10,000. Yeah. Was it 7,000? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you had your first $7,000 week.
Yep.
And Jonathan said, "Man, I know he watches all your content. It would mean the world if you just picked up the phone and gave him a call." I remember calling you. We actually FaceTimed that day.
Yeah, we did. That was awesome.
And so that was one of the first times you and I connected. Was that so you started to have little breakthroughs, so that gave you some optimism. So let me ask you, what are some of the things that you would attribute to your success as a new agent in pushing through that stuff that would have made most people quit? What are some of the things that you would have attributed to your success? Was it your community? Was it plugging in? Was it following systems? Relationships that you were forming, or was it just freaking sheer grit? I mean, but I just named a bunch of things that. But for you, what were they?
I think huge is grit. You need to just buckle down. There is no ship to get on to go back home. Mm-hmm. Right? This is the ship. Make this one work.
Yeah.
And so. I think grit, and if you decide to do it, if someone else can do it, you can do it. So when are you going to decide to believe in yourself?
Yeah.
And then having systems, dropping your ego. Right? No one cares about your ego and who's cool, who's not. We just want to make this work.
That's right.
And we want to help people,
especially when you got 2 little kids looking at you.
Exactly right. And so like you just start seeing. I think, and especially with kids, right? You see what's important pretty quickly. But yeah, just, I think someone chasing their dream, having a community that they can bounce questions off of is very important, because, a lot of these people are remote. Mm-hmm. And when you're remote, it's easy to,
isolate.
Yeah. You don't talk to anyone all day.
How important has your team specifically been to you?
Man, my team are a bunch of awesome guys. They're a bunch of killers, to be honest. What I love about my team is it really does feel like a team. Like, we're always texting each other. We're asking each other questions. Like, we can go and, try to get answers different places, but it's great when we have a group of 10 people that are all, on the same page, on the same, hey, what about this, right? And then you have all your friends basically texting you back and forth and solving problems, like almost as you're on the phone with clients sometimes.
Yeah. And you're in some kind of special like cadence with meetings, or get times when you connect? Do you ever do Zooms together? Do you hop on things like?
Yeah. So
what are some of these things that you're doing to maintain success? Because most people would have dropped out, man. They would chase. They just wouldn't have stayed in. They would have quit. Most people, after 2 or 3 weeks of losing money, they're out.
Yeah.
They're out, and you didn't quit.
I didn't, and you got to like just bite on and hang on there. But I think getting into your immediate community, which for me is my team, Jonathan, Akil, Kevin and Alyssa, all those guys, right? We have a great inner community, but then outside of that, you really need, your upline can only teach you so much, right? Because people are just people, right? You have to go and seek wisdom or knowledge from other people, and plugging into, the weekly calls, or like even, stuff like this, right? Mm-hmm. This is how important is this, just to hear a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Like in our strategy session, right? Unless I heard it from somebody else's voice, I probably would have never come to the conclusion that, I was having, an issue relating to clients' emotional needs, right? Mm-hmm. And being more transactional, and that causes certain things to happen, like policies to fall off the books, right? Because you don't tie it in with their emotions as much.
Yeah. So you stay connected with your team. You got into a weekly cadence. You're on calls. You're fighting through the process. You're plugging into a bigger upline IMO, that sort of thing. Yep. And you're jumping on our stuff and listening. It sounds like you're a learner.
I am.
And a little bit of a tinkerer too.
Tinker, yes. Absolutely.
Right? Would you say that? Because there's other people out there that are. I know you've gone through 2 or 3 different lead sources.
I have, yeah.
And from high intent leads to lower intent leads, volume of leads to fewer leads, and you're playing with that. Mm-hmm. What's the natural inclination when it comes to leads when things are when you're struggling? Low
cost, high volume, right?
Low cost, high volume, or try to not buy anymore or not invest in anymore and try to squeeze more out of the old ones that you're done squeezing.
And to be honest, I don't know, squeezing out of old leads, it can be done, but man, don't stop your fresh lead flow. That will kill you as a new agent. Always, keep something fresh coming in.
Yeah. So this process for you has brought you here now, and this month you're pushing through, and you're pacing now close to 200, really. And I think with some tweaks from today's session, and we'll certainly talk some more after this, but and we'll stay in touch ongoing to monitor progress and results. What were some of if I had to ask you now, and I haven't asked you this, but we just spent an hour and a half with you, Chris and I, and what were some of your biggest takeaways in that session that you're going to be able to take away and immediately implement into your process that you think is going to help?
Man. So one thing that I think I was missing was the belief statement, right? Like, that is super, super important to find a natural way to bring that into the beginning of the conversation, so then the people that you're talking to know why you're there. Yeah. Right. And it breaks down the initial transaction feeling in a conversation. And then,
Chris mentioned something in that belief statement part before you move on. Mm-hmm. He said, when you can give a belief statement like that, you're no longer a salesman, but you become what? You become
Oh my gosh.
You become a real life human
being.
A human being.
Yeah. I thought he had some other special word that he said in there.
No.
Okay.
He said that you become not a salesperson anymore, but you become a real life human being who's interested in their success because of your belief, and you're communicating that belief. And it allows you to communicate as a human, not as a salesperson.
And I think that's one thing that's, part of my success, right? I've definitely have little holes in the ship, but these are real people. They have real problems, and if we can treat them and we can really conversate with them, and they have real lives, they have kids, right? And kind of dig into that
and things that they care about.
Yes, things that they care about.
We talked about trust was established in two primary ways. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what those two were?
Yeah. So trust is established with authority.
Yeah.
And trust is established with empathy.
Empathy. And which one were you good at?
I'm good at authority.
You were good at the authority,
yes,
guiding people, moving through the process, telling them what they need to do, what you were going to do.
Yeah, checking a box.
Checking a box. You're using language like, okay, we're going to check this box for you.
Yeah.
But the empathy part, how is empathy established after today's session?
Empathy is established by asking questions and relating on their feelings.
Yeah. Their feelings. We talked about Daniel Pink and that author who wrote, and by the way, if you're watching, listening, a couple of great books. Daniel Pink, author of a book called Drive and another book called To Sell is Human, New York Times bestselling author, sales pro, sales trainer, speech writer. Like this guy's done it all. He talks about this idea of attunement, coming into an attunement with your client. Like, how do we put ourselves in their shoes? How do we see life from their perspective? And how do we communicate to them that we see life and understand life from their perspective? Well, the only way that you can do that is by asking good questions and slowing down right there a little bit enough to actually get into the dialogue about what really matters to them, why they were looking for coverage, what prompted it in the first place, why this person means so much that they want to do this now, and why is that important to them, and how would it make them feel if they didn't have anything in place? Like, these are important questions to let them sit in. And I think through our strategy session, you learned that you can't be the one stating the answers.
100%.
What did you learn about that? Let's talk about that for just a minute.
So, I think as an agent, sometimes I don't know if it's just you're uncomfortable or you don't know, or you're not, you really just need to focus on that portion of training to make sure you ask the questions. But, I don't know, it almost doesn't feel natural sometimes. And I think it's just you have to force yourself to get in there.
Be vulnerable?
Be vulnerable.
It's a vulnerability moment, really, on your part too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
To even be comfortable enough to ask those questions of a person that you just met on the phone.
Absolutely. And then trying to relate and have a real conversation with this person like you've known them for, 10 years.
Yeah. It's interesting because, I travel quite a bit, and when I'm sitting on flights and you're forced to sit next to somebody for 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes 2.5 hours, right? You can actually get into some pretty deep conversations. And I remember this one flight that I had back from out west, and it was like a 2 to 3 hour flight. And man, I had the greatest conversation with this gentleman. He opened up, telling me about his frustrations and some career changes and challenges that were happening in his industry. And it was almost like I knew this guy for years, or it was almost like he was family and he trusted me. And I think about new agents with clients on the phone. If we can get ourselves into a position where we're vulnerable enough and confident enough to ask, not just, what they were looking for. Well, I need coverage because I don't have any external need, right? Check external need. But to actually get confident enough and be vulnerable enough to ask some of the questions about who they're trying to cover, why it's important, how would that leave them if they don't have it done, why it matters to them, why is it important to you, how would that make you feel?
Why, how do you feel?
Yeah, those are all the internal, right? So that's not an external need anymore. Now the client is beginning to give you that internal need. Chase, that one component, man, that one component for you, building that into your framework, right? In our 5-part framework, belief, trust, stakes, options, solutions. And that part is really in that trust and stakes, because that's really where you're getting into that. Building those empathetic questions that are pulling the internal need from people in the short conversations that you're having with them on the phone will absolutely transform your business. And I believe you will go from a $15,000 a month, revenue earner to a $30,000 a month revenue earner. Like, I have no doubt in my mind, because if you have the grit, man, to fight through first 60 to 90 days going negative cash flow with a wife and 2 little ones at home, looking at you going, right? And then your family's like, did you make the right decision? Everybody's looking at you, wondering if you're going to fail. And you're like, damn it, I will not fail. Not on my watch.
Yep. I will not fail.
Yeah, like you just put those other pieces in. I mean, the sky is the absolute limit, man. The sky's the limit. What do you see for yourself in the next few years in the business? And what are you trying to accomplish long term?
See myself, one, mastering, like I have a lot of great things to go home and master, right? And then put those into practice. And then, once I do that, sharing, I love sharing. I love giving gifts. I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite time, right? I love to, I have gifts in my closet for my family members 8 months in advance sometimes, right?
Awesome.
And
make it on his Christmas wish list. His Christmas gift, not his wish list, his gift list.
Gift list.
Adam, can you send him a reminder later?
But being able to share something that can change somebody else's life is probably the best thing that you could ever give somebody. And whether that's a policy that helps their kiddos through a hard time, or that's somebody just like me that wants to learn a new industry and wants to be able to learn a new trade and a new skill set, and share that with people, is, I think, really the goal, because it's such a cool industry, and it's ripe for the taking. There's a huge need for people in this industry, and there's so many people coming of age that need these products. Is
this a sales job for you after our dinner last night?
No.
We had dinner last night.
Yeah.
We had great food, by the way.
We did.
Cuban food.
We did.
He said, I like Cuban. So we went to La Bodeguita de Mima. It's one of my favorite restaurants here in town.
It's beautiful.
And we had the best food, steak chimichurri, plantains, the whole thing. And we were talking about how I approach the business. How you asked me how I first, how I grow the business. And I said, I never talk to people about selling life insurance.
That's right.
And I think that took you back initially.
It 100% did. It's a totally different way of, looking at how to get people involved in any kind of situation. If, having a way to present to them options, and then show them, and then have them say, I can do that. And especially
show them a business opportunity.
Exactly.
That can change their life.
Yeah.
Not a way that they can sell something to make more money.
100%. And not just their life, right?
Yes.
Their family, their whole family tree, anyone that they help, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot bigger than just you and one person.
Yeah. And you see my family's involved in the business, right?
Yep.
You met my youngest daughter. She's doing an internship here this summer.
And your lovely wife.
Yeah. Like, it can change and transform your life. So, man, Chase, I'm excited about you, Tasha, your boys, where you're going. I'm excited that you got connected with Jonathan and Ep234. What you're building there is really, really special. That guy is a motivator.
He is.
He's intense. He's passionate. He loves people. Yep. He has very high integrity. He will always do what's right. And I'm so glad you got connected with him.
Me too.
So shout out to you, Jonathan. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah. Chase, how can they get a hold of you and connect with E320 and you in specific if they want to get some more questions answered or just pick your brain?
Absolutely. So my email is chasedalexander7@gmail. Pretty simple. And then you can find me on Instagram. It's Chase Alexander.
It's Chase Alexander. And you just finished 75 hard.
I did just finish 75 hard.
And you were so disciplined.
Yeah, I was.
You forgot to take a picture on day 25 and said, damn it.
I was 111 days to finish it because I did have a couple hiccups, but it was
111 days to finish 75 hard. That's discipline, right? That's consistency. Because I said, but dude, you could have just took a picture the next morning. He said, but then I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have actually done what 75 hard is.
I would have been doing something else.
So that's the thing I love about you, man. So if you want to get in touch with this guy, you can connect with him. There he is on his socials. I'm sure Adam will throw it up. It's been a pleasure, man, to have you in, to meet the bobblehead guys.
And they're exceptional.
Connect with Chris and I, and I can't wait to see where you go. Maybe we'll have you back in a year for an update.
Yes, sir.
On how your progress is going and the team you've started and what you're building.
Awesome. Hey, thank you for having me.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for being on. And thank you guys for watching this special episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. We'll see you on the next one.